Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. I'm your host, Xavier Dean, with my co-host over there, Mr. Jacob Green. We're going to run through this really fast because we have a shorter time frame. We'll do a full rundown maybe in a later episode, but for now, just going to say we have shorter episodes. We're going to try to have it where we both get a story. We're going to start one story at a time, and if we have enough time, we'll move on to the other story. Am I missing anything, Jake?
Nope, other than to say that we are back from our, 6-month hibernation.
Yes, we are back from our 6-month hibernation. School was rough, so we had a little bit of hibernation for that, but we should be back now. We're going to go back to regular releases. As you may know, we are now going to be releasing on Wednesday. That's because we are going to be recording Sunday. That gives us enough time for any editing, any sort of uploading, all that during Monday and Tuesday. Um, yeah, we have a new intro. We're working on a new intro. I'm not sure if we're going to have it by the time this releases. We're working on a new logo. So lots of new things. Again, most of that will be explained in future episodes. But for now, we're going to start off because I actually had a very interesting thing happen to me today, a couple hours ago, which is kind of why we're recording today. No, we were messaging. We were talking about recording today. I completely forgot about it. And by the time I was reminded, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to record. And then, like I said, the event happened a couple hours ago. And I'm like, oh, hey, no, never mind. Jake, we need to record this. I got to say this. All right.
Well, I got my popcorn, so
You've got your
I'm
popcorn? All right.
I'm
So,
ready.
to start it all off, some of you may know. Oh, wait, no. Before we start that, because my grandmother watches these. Hi, Grandma. Everything's okay. No one got hurt. Well, no one on our end got hurt. So,
I'm genuinely concerned by the way you're starting this off.
well, I don't want her to be concerned. She already knows the story, but just in case, heads up, it's that story. All right. So, let's kick this off by saying my father and I were at Morella Park today. It's our main disc golf course, and we were taking part in this singles league that raises money for nonprofits. So, we're big on disc golf. We have like three other people with us, including one of our good friends, who, for the sake of it, I'm gonna call him Bob. Not because of Thunderbolts, but
Because
because,
there's always room for Bob.
well, there's always room for Bob, but also there is a little running joke whenever we're playing that whoever is at the bottom of the card, they're called Bob. And because he
Hmm.
was the one who started it, that's why I'm calling him Bob. Like I said, for animosity, I'm changing the name. But he knows who he is if he watches this. So he runs it. My father and I help him, and we go to these different leagues. We had two other people with us. We get through the first 10 holes, no problems. And then we get to hole 11. Hole 11 has it where on our left side, there are these two little roundabouts by a road where some people park. Both of them happen to have been in use at the time. And because we're not all good and we'll probably hit one of them, we like to try to, ask people politely, hey, could you please move your car? We don't want to cause any damages. We're respectful most of the time. That's a joke, purposely making him laugh. So, anyway, so here we are. We reached the top of the hill and we've got two cars. The car right up front, the owner of the car was at the tree right next to it, They were on their computer, and we asked them politely, "Hey, could you please move your car? We're not all great at disc golf, and we don't want to cause damages." She moves her car just fine. And so the other car, we're trying to decide if the owners of the car are in it. We see that they're not, and we're about to throw, but then the owners start coming up from the woods. And there was a bigger guy and a bigger lady. And you know, we're sitting here waiting for them to get their car because they're gonna move. Or it looked like they were gonna move. And the guy
Mhm.
walks up, gets in his car. The lady goes to the passenger side, opens the door as if she's gonna go, and we're about to get ready to throw, but then she gets out of the passenger side with her phone in hand and starts walking towards us with her phone up like this as if she's recording, which she said she was. I'll get to that part. I don't think she was. It's going to be a lot funnier if she was, and I'll explain why that. So she starts walking up to us, and we're trying to tell her, "Hey, we're going to be throwing that way. We don't want to hurt you or the car." And once she gets to a certain point, she's like, "Why are you staring at me? Why are you talking to me?" No. And then she gets up in our face and she's like, "Yeah, you're being recorded. You're going to be Facebook famous. Why are you all staring at me? Why are you in my way? Why are you?" And she was a good 350 feet away, when we started. Only reason I know that is because the particular hole is that far down. And she was basically where the basket was. And we're trying to explain to her, "Hey, we've got we've got a league going on. We're raising money for charity. We're throwing to the baskets." And she wasn't listening. She's sitting there like, "You know what? That right there," pointing back to the car, "that's my son over there. There. Maybe if you guys, had better jobs, and maybe if you had children, you would respect my child just as much as you would respect your own." Keep in mind, my father was there. You know, but she goes on this full-blown rant, talking about how we're staring at her, we're trying to hurt her and her son when all we're doing is explaining, "Hey, we just don't want to damage anything." And, we're doing all this. And then Bob is on the side, he calls the cops, starts talking to them, gets off the phone, and he's like, "Hey, just to let you know, I just called the cops. They're going to be on their way." And she's like, "Oh, that's fine. Call the cops. Let them come over here." And she stops recording. And she's like, "I'm gonna post this on Facebook." And, she says, "Well, never mind. I can't get onto Facebook." And starts walking away, just ranting to us. The guy in the car starts driving towards her. And, we're sitting here like, is he going to get out of his car? Is he going to do something? No, he's trying to get her back in the car because she's causing a scene. And we wait for a while until we're watching her walk down, and we're sitting here like, should we start playing again? Should we wait until the cops come? And we end up waiting, and she starts walking towards our cars. Then she turns and follows our old supervisor at the city, starts following his trail. And at that time, the cops roll up, and they're looking up at us because this hole happens to be right next to a hill the hill's on the right. So they look up at us, and my father's like, "It's her. Can't miss her." So they're off, they're after her. We resume disc golfing. We're at about halfway into hole 11. The five of us may have only been 5, 6 minutes, whatever. And all of a sudden we hear, "Hell Help! Help! I'm being hurt here! Help! Which, you know, it's it's one thing if we had no clue what was all going on, and that it's another thing that we know exactly what was going on because she was sitting here resisting arrest, and we're walking over to the edge of the hill, closer to where the trees are, and we're watching as the cops are trying to wrestle her towards their vehicle, and she's resisting, just screaming, "Help! They're twisting my arm! They're hurting me!" You know, and of course, jokes were going around, you know, but it's because she was, being a bother. She was stopping us from what we were doing. You know, and they get about halfway from where she ended up, or she was before the cops got to her and the car, and she breaks out, tries running away, and gets tased. So, know, so she gets tased, and so we're continuing. We go through, finish hole 11, go through hole 12, and we're starting hole 13. She's still screaming help as she's getting into the car. We're like we're occasionally looking to see if she's still out or if she's in the car. And this course happens to have an area down lower with water, and there was a bunch of people fishing. One of the people who was fishing just, when she was screaming help, just started screaming, "Quit screaming, you're scaring away the fish." Oh, it was very eventful. And then we finish hole 13. We're starting hole 14, and then the police come up to us. Just so happens the cop who's going to talk to us went to school with me. So he knew who I was. My father and I, we walked up to him. My father was giving him the details. He's like, yeah, she just walked up to us. We're trying to tell her, hey, we're throwing our discs. These discs happen to throw fast. We've ended up, making dents in cars and breaking branches off trees. We don't want to hurt anyone. And she just starts yelling at us. She's recording us. Yeah. So it was a full blown disturbing the peace. So, but like I said, she ended up getting arrested, taken away. My father left his phone number to the police officer, and you know, basically everything up at that point sort of settled down. For the rest of the course, we're making those jokes. You know, if we end up hitting a tree, we start screaming, "Help! The tree hurt our discs!" Stuff like that. And I, I'm at the I'm at hole 8, and I'm reminded that we're gonna be Facebook famous, and I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, Jake and I have a podcast that we can talk about this. Should I talk about this? And then I send you that text saying, "Hey, sorry, I lied to you. Uh, can we? What time would work best for you? Or would any time today work for you?" And after I sent that text, then my father reminds me, "Hey, your grandmother watches these." And I'm like, "Oh, so yep, that was why I had the disclaimer. Don't worry, Grandma, we're okay. We weren't hurt. May have lost a couple brain cells, but we weren't hurt." No.
Well, that being said, I think you have more brain cells than the person that ended up getting arrested.
Yes. Well, like I said, we're just sitting here trying to be respectful. Like, hey, we've got these discs. I know not all of us can throw over there, but
Mhm.
some of us can, and don't have good aim. I pointed to myself at that one. I can throw far. I just can't guarantee that I'm throwing exactly where I want to go. And I have been known when I'm throwing a disc to end up in that area. So it's like
Yeah.
we're we're, we're just trying to make sure that everyone's having a good time and you know and she walks up to us, stops our league for a good maybe 10-15 minutes. And you know, it is what it is. Stuff like that's gonna happen. It
Yeah.
was a first for me, but yeah.
So that scenario that you just described, so
Hmm.
I've watched a few videos of like police body cams of like people getting arrested, and some of the arrests that get recorded are some of them are just like they're so stupid.
Hmm. Oh,
Like
definitely.
like it's like I'll give you one example that I could think off the top of my head. There was this girl um and she refused to get out of her father's car even though her father like told her like to get out. And
Hmm.
the police, oh man, they asked her so many times to get out of the car. She had so many opportunities to get out,
Hmm.
and she just ended up not doing it. And so the police were like, "Okay, I'm gonna handcuff you and whatnot." And then she's like, "Oh, what? You didn't give me a chance," and blah 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 blah. And then the cops are like, "Yeah, we did."
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like it. Yeah.
yeah. So it seems like in those type of cases, the case that you just described, you
Hmm.
know, sounds like this person had some entitlement issues.
Well, I
Um,
I think part of it was that. I think part of it was also there was something in her, bloodstream. Because, just from the way she was acting and walking, it was rough.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got. I guess you have to have some of those issues sometimes. I mean, I haven't been in a scenario yet where I saw an arrest occurring under my own eyes where I was kind of involved in the scenario.
Right.
Um, but yeah, but that's one hell of a story though.
Hmm. Yeah. And like I said, I'm I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I don't care if it's gonna be late. I have to tell you this, whether it is on here
Yeah,
or I call you.
my
Like
my
it was to a point where I'm leaving the disc golf course. I quickly run through a drive-through to grab some food. I still haven't even finished it yet, and I just open my laptop. You know, I'm like, I'm not gonna grab the full setup. Quality might not be the best, but I'm not grabbing my full setup because I need to say all this right away.
yeah. So my favorite part of the story though was the you're scaring the fish off. It's like
Yes, well,
that's a fisherman mentality right there.
mhm, it
That's
is.
how you know that
Well,
those are people who really like to fish.
it
It's
wasn't
like
even just that because we end up going down hole 15 and we're walking. It's a full family over by the water that's
mhm,
fishing. So I'm
mhm.
wondering if part of it was just that, and part of it was because, hey, we've got a bunch of young kids. This is probably their first time going fishing. We don't want this to be an underwhelming time for them.
Well, I think it's also partially to be funny, you
It-
know.
yeah.
It because you know there are those people who are like they try to make moments lighter and very un not necessarily like serious scenarios, but just very uncomfortable ones.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, they add humor and levity to it. Um,
I do that all the time.
yeah, I do some of that too.
Yep.
When appropriate, of course, but
Hmm. My biggest takeaways from this whole thing: don't resist arrest.
Yeah, don't resist arrest.
Don't resist arrest. And just like concerts, as funny as it is online, it is much better to watch in person, even
Yeah,
if you're not in the
of
best
course.
angle. Granted, it's bad to be involved at all,
Mhm.
but still. Right. So that's my story. From the looks of it, we might actually have a full 10 or not 10, 20 minutes left. So Jake,
Mhm.
you have a story to tell?
Well, I was just thinking about it. I mean, we haven't done this in so long, and yet I've had so many stories
Hmm.
pop into my head. Um, let's see. So I'm trying to think of something that would be interesting. Um, actually,
Did
I
I
can
set the
tell
bar
you.
too high? I feel like I set
No,
the bar too high.
no, no. Again, we haven't done this for so long,
I
and like,
know, I
and
know.
I was also not expecting to do this tonight. So like, I haven't really thought that hard about like what topics that
Mhm.
we can go over.
Well, I mean, if you
But
want, because I did mention earlier that we are going to have a bunch of different changes.
mhm.
Maybe we could probably spend this time with all those changes and then start the next video with your story. Just unless you have something come up. Like I said, I'm leaving
Yeah,
that up to you.
yeah, I got nothing right now.
You've got
So
nothing? All right. So I guess after the, arrest of the century that I witnessed, uh, we're going to talk a little bit about our changes to this. Weird setup, but we're working with it. We're improvising, and that's part of what this series is. We
mhm.
improvise. If something happens to come up, it comes up.
Yeah.
Or not, it's something we should enjoy coming up. But so, one of our biggest issues with with our last couple of videos was the duration of the videos.
Actually, that's all the videos that we posted so far have been like close to like the 2 hour range,
Oh,
which
past that, I think we may have actually had a couple episodes hit the 3 hour range, which I'm impressed by. But regardless,
yeah, but we realized that due to the format of our podcast and what it's basically about, because there are long form podcasts out there, but theirs are more focused on certain topics.
hmm
Uh, like I know of one podcast that covers like different like games, but they're focused more on like writing and analysis as well as doing fun ones like top tens and whatnot. But they've also been doing it way longer than we have. I mean, we just started like a few months ago, and they've been doing it for at least the current form of their podcast. They've been doing it for 5 years. So,
hmm
um,
so this is so what we've decided to do. Oh wait, before that, the other big issue that came with these durations, because we happen to be recording off of Zoom and we're broke as fudge. Caught myself. Caught myself. Almost forgot the rule. We're broke as fudge. Uh, uh, man, that would have been rough to cut everything here and be like, well, I messed up. But because we are broke and he's a college student and I just got out of college, uh, we have the free version of Zoom. So they cap us off at 40 minutes. Those long videos, we have to record three separate, three separate sections. And there were a couple of times when I was trying to edit the videos, splice them together, where I started getting yelled at by my computer saying, hey, you don't have the storage for this. And I think the last video we tried recording, it was the last.
Hmm.
We did try a different format where we used Google Meets because they'd let us record for longer, or they'd let us stay on for longer. I tried doing that, and then because I'm recording this off of a MacBook, uh, I have that screenshot button that allows us to have videos. I tried doing that for two of the three videos, and unfortunately, I didn't get any of Jake's audio with that. But the audio I did get was for a Pokemon tier list. Yep.
So for like the tier list thing, we'll come back to that
Mhm.
when we get to it, probably sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Just because
And
it's a
right.
fun thing that I think would be good for the both of us. But
Mhm.
even without the problem of like, storage limitations, I still think the length is a big enough concern, you
Mhm.
know, Uh, and like I think the one thing to point out is just basically our viewer count. Our very first episode, it was like 30 views, and then those view counts like rapidly decrease as they go along. So
Mhm.
a shorter form factor might help with that,
Yep. So because of that, we're just gonna record for the entire duration of the 40-minute Zoom meeting. So good news,
Mhm.
these aren't gonna be hour-long videos, but this
Yeah.
means that there's gonna be less content. But I feel like we both feel that this way is gonna be a lot better with both of our busy schedules, with our viewer counts,
Mhm.
and honestly, when it comes to editing, it's a lot easier to just put a video in between the intro and outro rather than just try to add three altogether. We're still new.
Yeah. But I think too, with us just like focusing on like one or two topics, it makes these videos a lot more focused than we
Hmm.
need. Because like even if we were sticking to like just three topics, we would like occasionally like branch off into other things, which like, that's normal in a conversation, but
I
like,
mean, that's kind of the
um,
point for this series. It's so
like,
that we can branch off while we're in these conversations and sort of hit multiple things at once. It's why it's called Nothing Zilch Nada, because there isn't necessarily a main topic. We'll start talking, and then, like, just how with my story from earlier, we went from talking about the events that happened to then going off of YouTube videos of officer takedowns and stuff like that. So,
mhm.
mhm,
Yeah, but we're making some necessary changes that I think,
mhm,
should be addressed, and hopefully we'll be able to catch a wider audience that way, catch a bigger net per
yeah.
se,
And
going
that's
off
why I
the
started with the arrest video, because I'm sure somehow someone's gonna make a TikTok with subway surfers underneath of us talking and saying telling the story to keep our the TikTok viewers active.
you know if that police officer, whoever it was, actually, one quick thing. Do I know who this person is? Since you went to school with them.
Um, possibly. I I don't know.
You could tell me afterwards.
I'll tell you
I'll
after
just.
because just like how I was calling our one friend Bob for animosity,
Mhm.
I don't want to call out or say the name of the police officer. The only names that we are saying, like full names that we're saying, are our own and people who give us permission if they give us permission. So, but no, but like like we said, we're cutting the duration down drastically. We're only going to be recording one video per session. We're not going to be recording three. Besides that, Jake, you've got some updates involving the intro.
Yeah, well, I just think it's about time for an update, especially since, we've been gone for so long. Um, Still, I mean, the changes I'm gonna be making are just gonna be like subtle ones, but we'll probably add some meat and maybe a little bit more quality to like the intro. And like, when it just like how we're making changes to the podcast, we're making changes to the way that we present it too, in a way, because when I was recording the intro, I just had like a basic idea and I only had so much time just to get it together. Um, Not that it was like rushed or anything,
Hmm.
When I compose music in particular, I'm very meticulous about it, even if the thing that I'm composing is pretty simple in concept. Um, but like, sometimes in your first draft, you'll hit some rough patches, so it's good to like retool and rethink things a little bit. And I've gotten better about it, especially this past year when it comes to composing music, especially with some of the most recent stuff that I've been
Dude,
composing for.
Bigfoot just flashed me outside.
I haven't heard a Bigfoot myth in a while, so
No,
or Bigfoot
Bigfoot just walked
sighting.
in front, lifted up his shirt, and walked away.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is
Okay,
it
that may have been a little too mean to call my father. I've got more hair than he does, so.
all right? Um, Yeah, but I think that'll do for the updates, at least when it comes to the way that we're changing up the podcast.
Mhm. Well,
Probably in the
also,
next episode.
also,
Yeah.
because you're changing the intro, I might change the logo up a little bit. Maybe not make it as complex. Maybe make it, just make it a little simpler. That way it makes it easier for me to try to make a new thumbnail each time. And that way we're not, you know,
Hmm.
that way
Yeah.
it's not if someone wants to like freehand draw, it's easier.
Yeah.
I'm keeping our
Also,
faces though. Our faces aren't changing. Sorry, you gotta see this. Although my face was compared to Bucky Barnes on Friday.
well, good for you because my face is always compared to Toby Maguire.
Hey, just to let you know, he was a great Spider-Man.
Um,
He was
yeah.
also great in Cider House Rules. But no, like we're saying, we're changing up a couple things. And we did mention a Pokemon tier list. I still have the video for how we started that. So that one might be a little extra long special that we'll release once we get a chance to record the rest of it.
Yeah.
Either that
Well,
or you and I could try to re-record it maybe in
I
person.
I
That
I
way.
say it's good to re-record it because when it comes to like stuff when you're doing a tier list where it's based on just opinion, I think it's good to just like start from the beginning, especially since my opinions have changed on stuff all the time, because like at the end of the day it's just for fun and we don't really take these things that seriously.
All right.
Um
All right.
yeah, but like that'll probably be later on. I think for the next episode,
Yeah.
not that like these are planned ahead, but I think, you know, since you recently graduated college and
Yeah.
I also graduated from college and still doing my master's, maybe we could share some college stories. possibly.
We could. I may actually explain in that episode what fully happened with our first month long hiatus. Because I don't think I actually explained what happened. I think
I
it.
mean,
I know you
I
know what it is.
yeah, I do, but I
I
mean,
mean, if
it's
you're
your
trying to look for
fault.
fun stories, I can try to pick my own brain to see what ones there are.
Give us some time, and
Yeah.
I'll do the same too.
Mhm.
Just whatever comes up.
Right. And
Anyways,
if it just so happens that that video comes, in about a month, it comes in about a month. But yeah. Um. Also, this might be the last time I record here. I'm not sure if you're aware. It got a little more jumbled up. Also, someone took my desk. He's in the house right now. So I'm gonna find somewhere else to record. I don't fully know where yet. Honestly, with how nice it is outside, I may record a couple episodes outside. I
yeah, I just have the windows open.
What's that?
I just have the windows open.
Hmm. Well, mine. Oh, that one is open. I saw it here. I closed the one in front of me, and I thought that one was closed, but now I'm noticing it's open.
Yeah.
Huh.
What time do we have left?
We've got 3 minutes and 37 seconds left. So
Oh, okay.
we
So
just want
that
to end it
was
here.
yeah, might as well.
All right. So, like we said, new changes, shorter videos, maybe more videos about ladies screaming, "Help! Help!" Which I did learn is spelled Healp. It's not the Help or Hellp. It's Healp. I have to know this.
Stop, Xavier, stop it. You're boring the fish.
I, I have to respect the fish. I have to respect the fish. All right. But with that, thank you for watching or listening if you're one of our Spotify listeners. Like I said, these videos are going to be up Wednesdays now instead of Sundays because we're going to be recording on Sundays, and having it set on Wednesdays will give us enough time to do any last minute editing we're going to need. And we look forward to talking to you next week. Until then, I'm Mr. Xavier Dean,
And I'm Jacob Green.
wishing you a wonderful night. Welcome back to our brand new reboot. Well, reboot-ish. And just remember, if you're gonna watch someone get arrested, as long as you're not involved, watching it live is a lot funnier than watching it on YouTube. Oh, also don't resist arrest. It's gonna be a lot better for you. You're
And
not
don't
gonna
scare the fish.
and don't scare the fish. Never scare the fish. With that, we are signing off and wishing you a good night.